Hey guys, it's Ivory. Welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I'm doing two looks, and with both of the looks, I am not using any brushes. A common thing that I hear from people is that they want to create really nice looks, but they don't know what brushes to get, that they don't have enough brushes, they can't afford brushes, and I thought I would take this opportunity to show you that you do not need brushes at all to create a really nice look. So I created two looks, the first one being a more daytime appropriate look, whether this is something you want to wear to work or if you just like minimalistic type of makeup in the first place, then this look is geared towards people who like more subdued eye makeup. The second look is a darker, more evening type of look, whether it's a girls' night out or a date night, or you just want to really amp up your look so that it looks smokier, sexier. Although I will admit that I would totally be fine wearing this type of look in daylight, it really doesn't matter to me. But I wanted to create a variation to show you that two looks can be created, so I never want to hear the excuse that you can't create a good look because you don't have enough brushes, you can't afford any brushes. I'm here to show you that that is not true and that it can be done. Before we get into the video, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post new videos every Wednesdays and Sundays and post occasional bonus videos throughout the week. And while you're here, be sure to also be following me on all my social media. Both my Instagram as well as my Twitter are both _ivorypcherry. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into the video. So before we start off with the look, you will need some tools that are not brushes. The first being your hands, preferably your own, but that is your life. The next thing you will need is two sponges, one of them wet, the other one is completely dry. The one that is damp for me is the Morphe sponge, and the one that is dry is the Juno & Co microfiber sponge. You don't necessarily need a dry sponge for any of these looks. It is just so that I can maneuver the powder products a lot more easily. If you try to maneuver if you use a damp sponge to, say, blend out blush, what you end up doing is kind of setting it instead, so it's a little harder to move. But if you don't have another sponge, you just have one sponge, then you could just use your hands alternatively instead of using a dry sponge. I'm gonna fast forward really quickly with the base just because it's very easy to do with just a sponge. For primer, I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible Matte Lock Primer, and I'm just gonna apply that only to my nose and my T-zone as well as my chin area, since that is where I get the oiliest. For foundation, I am combining both the Maybelline Superstay as well as the CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made Foundation. For concealer, I'm going in with the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in the shade Light, and that is going under my eyes, on my forehead, the bridge of my nose, as well as my chin. And then to set everything in place, I'm going in with the Coty Airspun in the shade Translucent Extra Coverage. All of the products that I used was applied with the Morphe Damp Sponge, just FYI in case that didn't come across. I am using the damp sponge for all of them. Okay, and then to add some dimension to the face, I'm using this like semicircle part of my dry sponge, and I'm going to use that part and dip into my bronzer. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and I'm going to use this to contour. Now it's going to look very straight and a little unnatural. Do not worry, we're going to blend it out. So in one of my past videos where I did a wear test, I said I haven't been doing wear tests very often because I wake up at like noon and I don't have time to do a full day's wear test. Ever since that video, I decided I wanted to make a change in my life because I'm tired of being a lazy sack of shit. So I've been conditioning myself to wake up at 7 o'clock every day, no matter what day. Even if I don't get out of bed right away, as long as I'm awake at 7, it's progress. I was watching this video where this guy was talking about how to train yourself to wake up earlier, and one of the #1 things he said was, you can't wake up early just to say that you want to wake up early. Like, there has to be something meaningful behind it. Plan something out. So I created an agenda for every single day so that when I wake up with a purpose. So now I wake up, I get my coffee going. While the coffee's going, I wash the dishes and I sweep or vacuum the house. And then by the time I'm done with that, my coffee is ready and I have a little bit of breakfast and my day is kind of already kick-started. So I feel like now that I have a purpose and I know what I'm going to be doing, it motivates me to wake up a little bit earlier. I mean, the first week is brutal because you're completely shifting your schedule, but by the time nighttime comes, you're so tired, you go to bed way way earlier, and having a set plan of things you want to achieve the next day really helps keep you awake. So I feel like I'm on a roll, guys. Like, my life is not totally together, but it's like getting a little bit together. Okay, so now that the contour is down, as you can see, it's really straight. I'm gonna take the other end, the round side. I'm gonna take that and just blend it so that it looks a little more natural. I was already doing this, but I was also talking about trying to wake up earlier, so I forgot to say that I'm doing this step. I'd love to know how your resolutions are going. Like, it's February right now. Are you still going strong? Is it not working out? Let me know. Okay, so now that everything is pretty much blended out, don't worry, we can still clean it up. I'm gonna use the butt of the sponge again, and I'm gonna dip into my blushes. I'm just gonna do a little pat on the cheeks. You could also just use your fingers. It really isn't gonna make a difference, but I just don't like when my hands get dirty. I'm really weird about that. Like, I don't even like to hold chips in my hands to eat them. Like, I'll get chopsticks to eat chips. And it's especially annoying when the chips are kind of low and you put your hand in the bag and your knuckles get like dusty from all the chips. So what I'll do is I'll cut the chip bag so that I don't have to go in as deep. And my husband hates when I do that. But I can't stop because I don't like digging in there to get chips. And then next, with my Coty Airspun, I'm gonna use the damp beauty sponge, and I'm gonna use this to carve out my cheekbones as well as my nose. And this will really help clean up any mess that we made. For the eyes, I'm going in with the BH Cosmetics Ultimate Neutrals palette. I love this palette. This is my favorite palette in the whole wide world. The thing is, since we're not using brushes, neutrals are just way more forgiving when it comes to blendability if you mess up, and it's basically just foolproof. So it's perfect for this type of video where it's possible that I could mess up, but it's less noticeable because these colors are so forgiving. This has also been baking for quite a while, so I'm just gonna take the dry sponge and I'm gonna blend that into the contour and blush just so that it makes everything softer and it looks like you're blushing from within and that the contour isn't so harsh. So for the eyes, I'm first gonna go in with this brownie red color, and I'm just gonna slap that all over the eyelid. I know there's like a technique, people are like, oh, you should use your ring finger for this and your pinky for this. Yeah, I don't really listen to that. I just use my middle finger for everything. It's just what my hand naturally wants to do. It takes way too much time if I use a different finger, so I don't bother with any of that. And then once this is down, I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. It's in between a brown and a red. Did I say that about the other shade? I really hate describing browns. It's very hard to describe neutrals for me. Like, I kind of just want to be like this color and then just leave the rest to you. But I'm gonna place that on the outer V. And the one thing that I have to warn you is, because you're using your fingers, you do somewhat sacrifice both time, because brushes do make things a lot more efficient and easier to do things. And you also sacrifice a little bit of precision. Like, you're not gonna have like a really good cut crease or like a really awesome halo eye. I mean, you might be able to do that if you really take out the time and like use your nails and like just really carefully carve things out. But for the most part, you do also sacrifice the type of precision that you would get from using a brush versus your finger. But that does not mean you can't have a really good eye look. The whole point of this video is to show you that if you have no brushes whatsoever, that you can still create a really nice look and that you really don't have any excuses here. Okay, and then lastly, I'm gonna go in with this orangey shade right here, and we're just gonna pop that on the lid. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna also go on top of it using this off-white yellow shade, because I really like having a bright lid. It just really opens up the eye. I'm gonna go in with that darker red brown color, and I'm gonna just blend the shimmer with that color just so that there's a nice gradient. All right, and then to highlight, I'm going in with this frosty off-white champagne-y color. I'm wiping my fingers, by the way, between each color, so have a paper towel of some sort on deck, and I'm gonna add that to the bridge of my nose as well as the tip. And I have a little bit extra, so I'm just gonna really lightly apply this to the tops of my cheekbones. If you feel that you applied too much highlight like I just did, go in with your damp beauty sponge and just tone it down. I thought I was done with the eyes, but then I realized that I completely forgot my lower lash line. So we have to go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go in with my damp sponge, and with this point, I'm going to dip into this red that we used for the outer corner of my eyes. And I'm gonna use that to smoke out my lower lash line. My husband, whenever he sees my videos, he always makes fun of me because my mouth is open when I do my eyes. And I make like a stupid face, like, so now I'm like really consciously thinking about it and making sure I don't do it. So as soon as I see myself doing it, I just automatically go Zoolander and I'm like, and this is the finished first look. I just applied some mascara and a lip. As always, all of the products that I use are in my description box below. Honestly, this is something that I would do even with brushes. Of course, it goes a little bit faster when you use brushes, but I am not mad about anything really. I think the blush is pretty good. It doesn't look super sloppy. The eyes I'm very satisfied with. I think the blending is pretty on par, is that the right word? I think it is. But it's pretty spot on to how it would look if I used a brush. But yeah, this is look number 1. All right, so moving on to the second look. As you can see, I kept my base because I think that it's appropriate for both daytime as well as an evening look. So we're only altering the eyes for this. All of the tools are exactly the same, except I am adding tape. Adding tape is just gonna give you a really crisp line. So it basically gives you a wing effect without actually having to do a wing. So because I did my base first, if you don't want the tape to ruin your foundation, concealer, whatever, just take the tape and put it in the back of your hand and remove part of the stickiness and then take it off, and it will be a lot more gentler. So I'm first going to start off with this orange, which is like a pumpkin-y type of orange, and I'm going to apply that all over the lid. I kind of avoid the lid area since we are going in with a darker color right there. And then with a clean finger, just kind of graze over the edges of that orange, just so that it kind of creates a gradient. This is the equivalent of getting a clean makeup brush and just blowing out the color that you already have. All right, and then next I'm going in with this dark purpley brown color right here, and I'm gonna keep that pretty low. It's gonna start off with the outer V, and I'm gonna both swipe it as well as pat it in. Next, I'm going to go in with this brown metallic right here, and I'm going to apply this all over the lid and stop about 2/3 of the way so that it doesn't overlap that brown we just added. And then I'm going to go in with that dark purpley matte and just kind of blend the two together so that it's really seamless. Okay, and then I think we're done with the top. As you can see, you're left with a really nice and crisp line. My foundation is not interrupted. And then for the lower lashes, I have some shadow from the first look, but I'm gonna cover it because I'm going in with a darker shadow. I'm using the damp Morphe sponge, and I'm gonna go in with the dark purpley brown color that is in my outer V, and I'm gonna use that to smoke out my lower lash line. And this is the second completed look. I would totally feel comfortable wearing this out in daytime, but for those that prefer a more toned down version, that is why I included the first option. So that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below if you like these type of beginner friendly type of tutorials, or if you would prefer that I stick to more in-depth tutorials with brushes that are more creative or more intricate. I am more than open to hearing your feedback about what your preferences are. If you liked this video, don't forget to like it, and feel free to also comment down below what other types of videos you'd like to see from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!